Saqib Uddin. I'm in Manchester, and with me have Arthif Daniel. How you doing, Arthif?
I'm very well, Saqib. How are you doing? You alright?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time and effort today. I really appreciate it.
No, not at all. Pleasure.
First of all, let's start with a bit of a cliche question. Talk to me a bit about yourself and your story behind boxing.
I'm a dental surgeon. That's my professional background. I've been boxing since I was 8 years old. I loved boxing. Boxing was always big in my family. My grandfather, my father, big Muhammad Ali fans. Grew up obviously following careers of Mike Tyson, Tommy Hitman Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and obviously later more contemporary champions. So I've always had an interest in boxing. I've always boxed myself, and I wanted to sort of progress further with it, but I had my education. I was in school, college, university, went to King's College London, where I did my dentistry. During that time, my parents and my family weren't too keen with me sort of pursuing boxing, understandably. Don't think any parent is. So once I qualified, I thought, all right, I'm my own man now. So then I started pursuing. I was very lucky, very fortunate. I've got very good people around me, people prominent in the boxing world, so they really helped me and assisted me in being able to sort of transit into the professional boxing realm. So yeah, I'm thankful for that.
So you've been in boxing for 4 years now. You've had 9 fights with 3 defeats. There's been some ups and downs along the way, but how do you feel you progressed so far in your career?
Yeah, I think I'm doing the right way, sort of getting everything together, pushing through at the right pace. It's a bit unfortunate. I think all 3 of my defeats, were there was always issues with them. But it's just boxing. You can't beat yourself too much about things. You just got to push on. It's part and parcel of boxing. Some of controversial things that happen either in the fights or pre-fight sort of thing. But it's one of those things. But now handling it done in a certain way and trying to avoid any sort of controversial mishaps. But I'm just working hard in the gym, listening to people around me. I've just come back from Vegas from a great camp with my coach Eddie Mustafa Mohammed, who I've been with since 2012. Even whilst in the UK, whilst I've had sort of my fights, I've always kept in touch with him regularly. Talking about a lot of things, dissecting things, analysing things. He's a great coach, one of the best trainers in the world. I'm very fortunate to have the likes of him and the likes of great people from the money team of Floyd Mayweather Promotions.
So by trade, you're a dentist and a professional boxer. Very unlikely traits, but how do you combine it all together?
It's tough. I'm not going to lie, it's tough. But if you want something in life, you've got to strive hard. You've got to push. You've got to persevere. So it's just that's just like everything else. So obviously certain days I'll have a full day clinic. So I'll train early in the morning, and in the evening when I finish. Certain days I'll have half day clinics. So just balancing between the two. So yeah, hard work, dedication, as the champ says.
So I have to ask, if one of your opponents needed dental treatment throughout a fight, would you be there to provide treatment after the fight?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I've gone on record to say that it'd be a moral obligation. I wouldn't feel right to do something to inflict damage and then just kind of walk off. So I think everyone knows that in boxing, and people who know me know what I'm like. I have that sort of gentle side outside of the ring, which I can't take inside the ring. Obviously, once you're in the ring, it's you or him. So you've got to stay focused. You've got to be professional at the end of the day. But once the final bell rings, why not shake hands and as a dentist, obviously, God forbid if there's something that's happened as a mishap, I'd be there for any of my opponents.
So you are billed as the Dr. Hitman. Where does that come from?
Dr. Hitman. Well, obviously with my academic background, I was very inspired with the Klitschko brothers. Both of them are doctorates. They've got doctorates, PhDs. So obviously Vitali's Dr. Steelhammer, Dr. Ironvis, and Vladimir's Dr. Steelhammer. So obviously I like that aspect. Tommy Hitman Hearns was one of my favourite boxers growing up. Got a similar build to him and obviously similar weights as he sort of started. So I kind of joined the two together as Dr. Hitman. So here we go. So I was actually, that little story on that was, I was with Bernard Hopkins in 2012. One of my good friends he works very closely with him. So when Bernard Hopkins asked me what my boxing alias was, what nickname was, I said it was Dr. Hitman. He's like, man, that's the best nickname I've heard in a long time. And I was like, well, you know what, I've got the blessings of a legend, Bernard Hopkins. I'm happy with that. So that's quite cool.
So you've had a lot of your training camps in America, the Mayweather Boxing Gym. What has it been like training in and around with one of the greatest boxers of all times, Floyd Mayweather, and alongside other elite level fighters?
Phenomenal. It's humbling. It's a great experience and something that I'll always take with me when I finish boxing. I was able to train alongside one of the greats, and obviously many other elite fighters. It brings the best out of you in an atmosphere like that, in a gym like that. That's they're dedicated, and the sparring there is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It brings the best out of you. We do 5-minute rounds there, so no messing about sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honour, and it's great in an environment like that. You thrive, and it brings the best out of you. So I've been fortunate to been training there since 2012, before the money team came about. It's been fantastic. It's been great.
So you've been very active recently. As you mentioned, you come off a training camp in America, fought in Czech Republic last week, which you got a victory, and this Saturday you're going to be fighting in Hungary. How's your preparation been so far, and how are you feeling at this stage?
Been fantastic. Feeling very relaxed, quite excited, to be honest. I just can't wait to get out there under the lights. So I had a great camp over in Vegas. I was actually supposed to be on fighting in New York on Deontay Wilder's undercard, but unfortunately didn't materialise due to a couple of small issues. But yeah, that should hopefully be rectified. And so when I was actually out there, I had there's this Czech promoter there who wanted to get me on that show, but I was a bit worried. I thought when I come back I'm going to be a bit jet lagged, and so I really wanted to fight, but I was a bit worried about that. So especially when I didn't get that New York fight, I was like, I've got to fight. I want to definitely put this. Obviously all my hard work I've put in Vegas, I want to put it. Get a fight out, professional fight. And so then when I was speaking, then they said, look, you know what, the show's actually, it's going to start in the afternoon, and if you'd like, we can get you on early. And I started, it's got itchy knuckles, and I started thinking, I said, hang on a second, my jet lag kind of kicks in later at night, so if I fight in the afternoon, I'll be okay. So all right, fine, I'll fight, and I'll fly back the same, fly back home the same day. So it worked out well. So that was good. I was a little bit worried because a couple of days before I caught a cold, but I was just on the Lemsip, keeping hydrated and just trying to be smart. And but thankfully it was okay, made weight nicely and performed well. So stopped him in 2 rounds. So it's good. It's good performance.
So still very early in your career, but how far do you think you can go in boxing?
Well, I just want to work hard. I've done a lot of things behind the scenes in the gyms as well. Having a lot of high caliber people offered me, given me praise and given me their advice and how I can sort of push forward. I've got the right people around me. If I, as long as I, listen and keep pushing, then I just see where this journey takes me. But I think what I'm very blessed with, I've got the right people around me, and that they can sort of assist me in sort of getting in certain places where and getting opportunities which others may not, sort of thing. So that's been one of my biggest assets and blessings. So with that, with hard work and the opportunities, who knows. So just going to push, keep carry on and see where this journey takes me.
So during your time in America, you watched Deontay Wilder's sweet victory over Luis Ortiz. How did you assess the fight?
It was a great fight. That was a March fight. It has to be a candidate for Fight of the Year, doesn't it? It was breathtaking stuff, especially in the heavyweight division. In the heavyweight division, we know one punch can change the course of a fight, and it was a very close tentative start with both fighters feeling each other out. I think the first four rounds were, you know, quite even, maybe two apiece. Couldn't really give it to one definitively. And then the fifth round, you know, explosion, and Deontay, you know, landed a hard shot on Ortiz to put him down. And then Ortiz come back. And Ortiz, you know, he's Cuban. He's an experienced fighter. He's got a great amateur pedigree. He's Cuban. Boxing flows through the Cuban blood, you know. So he's a great. He's got a great background. He's on paper, it was always going to be a tough fight. It was, you know, the toughest fight for Deontay on paper beforehand, coming into it, and it showed. And you know, and that's credit to Ortiz for showing how good he is and how much of a class fighter he is. But then Deontay showed his world champion caliber and status by riding through the storm and coming back like a true champion, and finishing the fight in style and in dangerous fashion. So yeah, great fight.
Now the fight everyone wants to see, and one of the biggest fights to be made in boxing, is Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. Now there's a good chance we'll see that fight happening this year, so how do you see that fight planning out?
Well, obviously Anthony Joshua's got a tough task with Parker at the end of this month, Joseph Parker. I think, you know, I see him coming through that. I think Parker's he's a tough guy. He's experienced. He's never been down before. But I think, and I personally think it'll probably go 12 rounds that fight. But we'd have to see. But hopefully, you know, God willing, Joshua comes through that. And then, yeah, the big one. That's going to be a super fight. You know, I personally, not because of my friendship with Deontay, I personally do think Deontay has the style to trouble and beat Anthony Joshua. It's not just his explosive dynamite power, you know, his athleticism, his speed, his agility, and that unorthodox nature Deontay does have. You know, that sort of that can put conventional orthodox boxers off. You know, we saw that with Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko. You know, when boxers have that sort of style, sometimes it can be off-putting, and I think you know, that's what would happen with Deontay's fight with Anthony Joshua. He's got all those assets. You know, as a heavyweight, he's only coming in. He's so big. I think he's 6'7" he is. I can't remember. So, and he's coming at 218 pounds, a lot lighter than sort of, you know, other heavyweights out there, and he has that sort of. It gives him the edge with the speed and athleticism. So I personally see Deontay stopping Anthony Joshua late.
So Joshua first has to come through Joseph Parker, who he faces there at the Principality Stadium in a couple of weeks. How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, I think it's a tough fight. People are writing Joseph Parker off, but he's been in Vegas. He was out there whilst I was there, and he's training hard. He's not leaving any stone unturned. And he's a tough guy. He's a champion at the end of the day. He doesn't want to lose his belt. He doesn't want to lose his O. So when you got a fighter like that, he's putting a lot on the line, has got a lot to lose. You know, that's a dangerous fighter at the end of the day. So I think it's gonna be a tough fight. I personally think it will go the distance. But Anthony Joshua is a class operator, and I do see him coming out on top. You know, in a good tough fight.
There's been a lot of controversy recently surrounding Canelo Alvarez as he's tested positive for clenbuterol. What's your whole take on the situation?
It's tough. You know, I think, you know, Mauricio Suleiman, the president of the WBC, he was interviewed very recently about this as well, and you know, he's a very respectable person in the boxing world. And you know, I listened to him as well very closely, and one of the key points he made was that Canelo has signed up voluntarily from a while back to the random testing, which the WBC came and said, look, you know, from now on, any boxer who wants to be associated in the WBC rankings must undergo random testing at any time. if you don't sign up to this, you won't be in the WBC rankings. So it's part of cleaning the sport, and the WBC has to be commended for that hugely, because it is a problem in boxing. People who know and understand boxing, who've been around elite boxers, know that there is a problem. I don't think it's nice to mention any names because there's no evidence as such, but behind closed doors, we do talk about certain boxers, we do talk about certain names, and but that's the end. But the WBC came with this incentive to kind of clean the sport, and it has to be said, Floyd Mayweather was one of the guys who was championing this from the very start, and a lot of credit goes to him as well. But Mauricio Sulaimán mentioned that Canelo, he came voluntarily, had his name said. Absolutely, he's been randomly tested for a number of years, and throughout this time period, never once has he tested positive, which is a huge thing. And the second thing is the amount that was found. It was a very, very small, negligible amount that was found, and it can be consistent scientifically. It can be consistent with his reasoning, with his justifications that were that of the contaminated meat in Mexico. It's plausible. Whether that's absolutely true, only him and God know, and those around him sort of know. But just going by what some of these points, that he signed up voluntarily, he's never been tested positive. You're talking very, very small, negligible amounts that were found, consistent with such a story. We know that in Mexico there has been a situation, and many times where many athletes, including the soccer team, were found to have trace elements of clenbuterol. So I think it can be true. I think for all these multiple reasons, I think Canelo should be given the benefit of doubt. I think people have jumped on the bandwagon because he's a phenomenal boxer with a phenomenal record. He's with phenomenal achievements, and people are like, well, we know this is happening in boxing, which it has been. Canelo must have been on it as well, and it's only been caught. But I think it's a little bit unfair, if you look at all the facts of the matter and the situation at hand. I personally don't think he's guilty of use. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but that's my personal opinion, and I hope he isn't. I hope he hasn't. But yeah, I think it's just been an unlucky situation, and it's also very unfair because it's tainted his image, which is that's just the way things are. But I personally think that he hasn't been sort of guilty of it, and it's just been a very unfortunate series of events, really.
Yesterday it was announced that one of your close friends, Liam Smith, has the chance to win back his WBA light middleweight title against Saddam Ali. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Very happy for Liam. Firstly, he had obviously he won his title, and he was obviously lost it against Canelo, and it's quite unfair circumstances in the sense that not unfair but unlucky circumstances, because during the lead up to the fight he was actually sparring Kell Brook, and I think there was a bit of an accident, the elbow that went in, and Liam suffered a very, very bad cut. As a result, he had to sort of, he couldn't really do sparring. Obviously, there's the issue of the fight being called off, and the fight was called off. Liam, in such a super fight, may not get this opportunity again. So he obviously had his preparations hampered with that. And I'm not saying, and nobody's saying, and Liam's never even said that if that was the case he would have beaten Canelo. It's not like that, but maybe the fight it could have been different. But Canelo's a class operator. There's no shame in losing to a champion like Canelo. But yeah, it's great. He's got an opportunity to win his title back, become a two-time world champion, and my support and prayers are with him. And I think he's got a great chance. I think Saddam Ali is a class operator. He kind of proved when I think he was the underdog when he fought Miguel Cotto. I know Cotto was at the end of his career, but he's still a phenomenal, dangerous fighter. And Saddam Ali he did very well and put on a very good performance. It's going to be a tough fight. It's for a world title, and Saddam Ali is a class operator. But I think Liam has that edge in being able to come through and become a two-time world champion, and I wish him the best.
So another one of your finest contacts and good friend of yours, Floyd Mayweather, has announced that he's heading towards the UFC. What's your take on it? And are you surprised at all, being a friend of Floyd's?
No, because anyone who knows Floyd knows he's capable of anything. Yeah, Floyd, he just surprises people so many times that he's just not surprised anymore. So, no, that's my short answer of it. What's my take of it? Listen, I think, people are. It's a shame. People have this tendency of looking at others negatively. People have a tendency of looking at people's success and being bitter and sour about it. And especially with the in our present times with the advent of internet and social media, it's become more rife because people can express this hate and whatever sort of thing. And it's a shame because the guy's achieved so much in the sport of boxing, and in the ring, and now he wants to step into the octagon. Now, anyone who steps in the ring steps into the octagon. Now, that requires a lot of heart, a lot of courage. So, that deserves respect. So, that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is, he's achieved so much, and he wasn't born with a silver spoon. When you read about Floyd Mayweather, and when you look at his life, he was born in a room that wasn't bigger than, that was much smaller than this, and he was with multiple family members, and that was his background. That's where he's come from. He's worked extremely hard to get to the position where he is at today. You have to commend a person like that. I don't understand why there's so much hatred, why there's people are bitter and jealous of other people's success. I just do not understand that. Someone's done well, someone's doing well. Wish them well and say, well done. I hope I can do that, but well done to you. God bless. But people have the tendency of hating on other people's success, and Floyd Mayweather is no stranger to that. He's been subject to that from the very start. He's worked extremely hard to get to this status, and now he can call the shots. He's going to have an opportunity to fight a massive MMA UFC fighter in Conor McGregor, and earning multiple millions. Well done to him. No one just gave that to him on a plate. He worked hard to get to that position. So well done to Floyd Mayweather. If there's people who are moaning, saying, oh, this and that, and oh, this doesn't deserve this don't watch it, don't buy it. It's the same thing as Floyd's fight with Conor McGregor, the boxing. And in a purely boxing puritanical point of view, yes, it was a mismatch. I said this from the start. I went on record to say that I'd be surprised if Conor McGregor lands a single shot on Floyd Mayweather, and that was the stance of much of the boxing world. But guess what? There was those people, and people who were ridiculing the fight. They still went and bought the fight and still watched the fight. So why are you going to be ridiculing it and mocking it on one hand, but then ready to pay money to watch it? Make up your mind what you want to do. So Floyd's going to step into the octagon to fight Conor McGregor. Are you gonna ridicule it and be like, oh, that's not, he shouldn't be fighting, he should stick to boxing, this and that? Okay, fine, don't tune in, don't watch it. So make up your mind what you want to do. So I wish Floyd Mayweather the very best. He's a friend of mine. He's helped me a lot. That's from a personal sense, but also from even if I didn't know him and if I didn't have this bond with him, I'd say the same thing. Well done to him. He's worked hard to get to this position. He deserves every bit of success that he gets.
Arthif, really appreciate the time you've given me today. It's Arthif Daniel for Fight Hub TV.